Do you know what antisocial behaviour is?
Yeah, is it things like underage drinking? No.
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
Yeah.
Do you think the media stereotypes a certain group of people?
Yeah, it's stereotype too.
Do you agree with the stereotypes set out by the media?
Some of them, but it's only mine.
What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour and why?
Probably around like 15 years old because they go out more.
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
Probably not.
Have you been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
No.
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
No.
Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour?
No, because it's still happening.
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes created by the media?
No, because we're still stereotyping people.
Do you know what antisocial behaviour is?
I do.
Do you say it?
It's when people are really annoying. It could be anything from playing loud music or being really drunk on the streets to graffitiing and just being a general amongst the public.
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
It is. I live in a quite a nice community, but I wrote a letter to one of my neighbours a couple of weeks ago because their daughter plays her music really, really loud, and that means that I can't play my music because her music's terrible.
Do you think the media stereotypes a certain group of people?
Yeah, these young people these days are rubbish. I think young people get a bad rap, but obviously being a teacher kind of know a little bit better. Generally tends to be tighter communities.
Do you agree with the stereotypes set out by the media?
No, because I'm a teacher and obviously I get to know you guys, but I can see why old people might be quite intimidated by groups of young people.
What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour?
I think it varies. I live in quite an affluent area. Obviously that one goes antisocial. It could be, it doesn't matter whether you're poor or you're rich, you're young or you're old, you can be just as annoying as each other.
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
Yeah, definitely. As a teacher, I have a bit of a word with people sometimes in the street.
Have you been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
How that stupid girl.
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
No, I'm such a good girl.
Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour?
The outflow rules, I think that started becoming a bit of a badge of honour for some people. I think maybe some more people do. I think a lot of the police aren't bothered about noise pollution, parties into the city hours.
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes set out by the media?
No. I think they definitely concentrate on young people and poor people and don't see the opposites.
Do you know what antisocial behaviour is?
Yeah, it's where people just
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
yeah.
Do you think the media stereotypes a certain group of people?
Do you agree with the media's stereotypes?
What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour and why?
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
Have you been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour?
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes created by the media?
You know what antisocial behaviour is? Yeah, because nuisance of people not of the same household.
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
Yeah. Do you think the media stereotypes a certain group of people?
Yeah. Do you agree with stereotypes set out by the media?
No. What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour and why?
I just feel like I've just done something.
Teenagers because they cause trouble.
Are you sure?
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
Have you been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
No.
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
Probably. Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour? In the middle.
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes created by the media?
No. Do you know what antisocial behaviour is?
Yes, antisocial behaviour is behaviour in your community which is deemed as uncooperative and what could cause harm to others.
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
In my direct community, no. No.
Do you think the media sometimes a certain group of people?
In lines of social behaviour, antisocial behaviour, yes, to some extent.
Do you agree with the stereotypes set out by the media?
I would say 50% of it is right and 50% of it is wrong. Just due to, obviously, communities and so forth like that, who may be pride communities and so forth. But antisocial behaviour happens in many places, so sometimes it's a stereotype because it's maybe a poorer community. So 50-50.
What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour?
Difficult question. Anybody who's not me, who's not engaged in some sort of activity, who have got not much to do in the way of community, and who were careless and reckless, really.
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
To a certain extent, if I felt secure and looking at these people, because it's difficult to look at one. It depends on the type of person I was actually dealing with. But if I looked at and thought, yeah, I could intervene, and I was safe to intervene, I would.
Have you been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
I have faced some intimidation. Direct victim, not really. Where I couldn't have dealt with it myself, but yes and yes.
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
Me?
Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour?
Far from it. I think we need more social groups out there in the sense of youth community groups. I think we need more police on the streets and community bodies on the streets to be able to police it correctly, and also obviously get young people active and doing something positive to reduce that.
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes created by the media?
No, because the media, as you know, it seems like they have their own rights and they publish what they want to publish, really. And until the government got a stop to that to say, well, this is the truth, and take some sort of control over it.
You know what antisocial behaviour is?
Yeah, my opinion of antisocial behaviour, the definition I use is behaviour which intentionally upsets people or unintentionally but is continued.
Do you think antisocial behaviour is a problem in your community?
I think there is an issue with antisocial behaviour, but I think the vast majority of people who live within the Oldham and Failsworth community do things in a really positive way. So I do think there is a problem, but I think it's a very small minority who either act irresponsibly or don't understand what they're doing is antisocial.
Do you think the media stereotypes a certain group of people?
Yeah, I think there is. And the media want to sell papers, or they want people to tune in, so they want things what are sensational. So young people are portrayed as, you know, sometimes being antisocial more than your middle-aged people. Immigrants are seen as being antisocial, but what they're doing is they're trying to sell papers and they're trying to sell television, and they're not bothered how they do it. They just want to put a blame somewhere and create a bit of an issue what people are interested in.
Do you agree with the stereotypes set out by the media?
No, I don't at all. I think people are people. Occasionally there are correlations between groups of people. So yes, some young people are antisocial and sometimes they gravitate towards each other. So there are some groups like that, but in general, young people are antisocial. I think young people get a bad press, and I think the vast majority, and I'm just using young people as an example, the vast majority of young people I work with are great. They're not antisocial, they're really responsible and they're really caring, and if they upset people, they acknowledge it, they do something about it.
What
What type of person do you typically associate with antisocial behaviour and why?
That's interesting. On the answers what I've just given there, that's interesting. What I would associate with, I think it's hard to put a definition on that if you are of the opinion that certain people, you can't pigeonhole certain people to say they're antisocial. I've seen antisocial behaviour quite a lot in group mentalities and also when alcohol is involved. So if I put that out, they're the sort of people I'd see in big groups with lots of alcohol. You don't always see it, and thankfully you don't always see it, but that is where I've seen antisocial behaviour most commonly.
Would you do anything to intervene if you saw antisocial behaviour happening?
I'd like to think so, yeah. I think if everybody just stands back and accepts it, then people will carry on doing it. If people who don't accept that and people who want people to be safe and people to be happy step up and say, no, that's wrong, and do something about it, then there'll be less chance of it happening again. But if all people do is just step back and let it happen, there's no consequence for the action for people.
Have you ever been a victim of antisocial behaviour?
Yeah, I have. I've been a direct victim where I felt like I've been verbally abused, or I felt I've had to leave somewhere because of that. But also I've been an indirect victim where people I know have been abused, or I've had to leave places and stuff like that. And there's an indirect link there because then I find out about it and then I'm upset, and so yeah, I have been involved in that. Yeah.
Have you ever committed antisocial behaviour?
Yes, but in reflection, not intentionally. And I'm being honest, we've all made mistakes in life, haven't we? And yes, at times maybe I may have done something what has upset somebody, but I'd like to think that when I realised it, I addressed what I did. But I think it'd be very, very naive of me to say, that I've never made a mistake.
Do you think enough is being done to tackle antisocial behaviour?
I think there's a lot going on, and I think there's some really positive things happening, especially in this area. If you look at the link with PC Cullen and the setting up of the Failsworth Youth Centre at the Town Hall, I think that's been a great success in reducing antisocial behaviour. And one of the main reasons why there were antisocial behaviour is people were bored, and people just got bored and just got involved in doing silly things. By creating opportunities, that's reduced that. So I do think there's a lot going on. I do think there's a problem what needs tackling with the media stereotyping of people. And I do think that's an ongoing thing, but I certainly think within this community there's lots going on and lots of purposeful work that's being done by young people and by adults to make sure that antisocial behaviour is reduced.
Do you think enough is being done to challenge the stereotypes created by the media?
No. I think the media creates stereotypes which people accept, and sometimes because they want a scapegoat. So be that young people, be that immigration, be that old people, for causing a nuisance antisocially, whatever. I think pigeonholing groups of people together and labelling them without meeting them is very dangerous. So I do think that there is an issue there. What can be done about it is a difficult question and quite a deep question. I know when the Hillsborough disaster, which was over 20 years ago now, when that happened, there was lots of pictures in the Sun newspaper about antisocial behaviour on that day by Liverpool fans, which was found not to be true. And one thing what happened there is a lot of people in Merseyside stopped buying the paper, and that affected how the Sun reported on things because they lost a significant amount of money because of how they targeted a group of people who they didn't know and they'd never spoke to as antisocial. So I think things can be done, and ultimately it comes down to people making a decision of, do you want to support that? And if you don't want to support it, you don't buy it, or you don't subscribe to a news channel, or you don't buy into what they do. But that's the only way you'll change that.